welcome back to another edition of the Rivals Runback podcast. My name is Righteous. Joining with me, as always, is CB the Barbarian, and today's gonna be a pretty quick one, just because of the way playoffs work. We'll kind of discuss how that goes, but first and foremost, most importantly, CB, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're uh,
Sweet.
we're getting there. Another week and a half. Yeah, this is always the weird week, uh,
Yeah.
the semifinals week where we don't have the full league available to do like full power rankings. It'd be kind of weird to, only 4 teams have played to do power rankings, and then only have 2 games to go this week. So will be an interesting one.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and recap the quarterfinals, which shout out to our boys. We're at Invicta, streaming the quarterfinals match. You got coverage for both sides of the bracket. Which match do you want to start off with here, CB?
We'll start off with the one that Invictus streamed. We'll start off with my side. Some say the more important side. That's just people were whispering, not me. Uh,
Okay.
Orcas versus Kachow eSports.
Yeah, I mean it was a best of five, but it was a quick 3 games. Kachow taking the 3-0 victory. Uh, I guess we could approach this 2 ways. What did you like from Kachow in regards to how they, approached this series? And then I guess my follow-up question was: this really a real test for them heading into their toughest opponent yet?
So I'll put a caveat on that. Maybe toughest opponent yet. They did face BLM and whatnot, but uh, for Kachow, I like that they kind of played through multiple win cons in their team, and maybe it stretches back the past few weeks, but I mean not the disregard top lane, but seems like jungle, mid, AD carry all had the potential to carry. Kind of depends on who's going to play. I don't think they've posted their intended starting lineup, but they at least have multiple avenues to carry. So I think they've proven that over the last couple weeks. Was it a true test for them? I don't know. A lot of people told. I mean, people told me all split that maybe I was a little too high on Orcas. I picked them with my second pick. I can use the excuse of the unfortunate situation around them having to last minute sub in a jungler. Don't know who we put the blame on there. It's been in the rules all split that you had to play 15 games. Unfortunately, their jungler only played 14, so didn't get to actually play the playoff game. Feels bad there, but yeah, nonetheless, it was a close game one. I mean, I
I think
thought Orcas had it.
Kachow, in regards to the ESUB, Kachow waived the lost bands, right?
Oh, I don't
From
know.
what I can tell.
I guess
I
so.
think,
Unless that's the fast thing. I guess so. Either way, I'm
but
unaware. I was untold that, but I guess I do see the bans and whatnot. So
either way, you know, credit to Kachow for I guess making it a little bit harder for themselves. But yeah, that game one, Macho popping off on the Kog'Maw. I believe Kog'Maw is a criminally underrated pick. I feel like he's very strong in certain situations. Like, it's a little scary picking into the vibe, but it seemed to pay off for him. Red Face Beast probably had his best game in that game one of
yeah, he tried.
Rivals League
He was there to
2 for
win.
himself. Yeah. Um, and then game two, I think is kind of where it fell off the rails for the Orcas. I don't know how close game one was. I haven't watched the VODs myself, but game two, it seems like it got quickly out of hand. A 22-minute loss after a 44-minute loss. And then following that up with a 21-minute loss in game three. So it went from good to bad to ugly for the Orcas there. Um, you know, Red Face Beast, a solid game 1 and 3. Stepbro stepping up in a less than fortunate situation for the Orcas, and I think performed relatively well with no, I guess I could assume no reps, with the rest of that team. Kitten's popping off in game two. Kitten's a player that I think the team probably does better with her in support. I really like the support kittens key mid combo that we got the last week of the regular season, but it seems like this roster iteration as well kind of went off with no hitch, key popping off pretty much every game. Um, is this a case of Kachao goes as far as Key can carry them, or um, like were you saying with this series in particular, do you think there's enough in the tank for other players to step up like Macho, like Kittens, in other roles?
If we're gonna let's operate on the assumption they're gonna go the same lineup.
Yeah.
Definitely think it's a play through key. He plays mostly carry junglers. Maybe we can touch on kind of the patch notes and whatnot a little bit, so that might impact some of his pool. We'll see, but uh, I also like key mid kitten support. The issue there is who ends up playing top jungle. Um, so it's like
Yeah.
I like key mid because he's probably the best mid option, but I also think he's the best jungle option. So kind of a tough situation there. I think overall as a team, it's probably key jungle, just because it spreads the wealth. Um, Kittens can pop off as you see in game 2, and then Macho I think also
Hmm.
can carry. Who plays top? Like Reverse had a solid game 3. I don't remember game 2. Like game 2 did fine, and then game 1 I think the whole team. This was a hard fought win, so
Yeah.
I think it's gonna end up being key jungle if I had to guess. But yeah, I think it's definitely if key pops off, they can for sure win. I think they could beat anybody. I think they do have a high ceiling. If key doesn't pop off, does the team fall apart? I'd also probably say yes. So yeah, I'd be with you there.
Yeah, we will have to see. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to glean from this series, just because you know, anytime you see a quick 3-0, especially that game 2 and 3, credit to the Orcas in game 1 for keeping it close. 44 minutes is a long time to go. Um, but then they lost the next two games in the same amount of time as that game 1 took. So it's a tough one for them. We appreciate them playing in the league despite some roster turmoil. Um, I'm you'd have to fact check me, but I'm pretty sure they had a different roster combination every single week after week 2. Um, the fact that they made it to quarters is pretty impressive in its own right. Um, Opposite side of the bracket, Elysium taking on Omega. It wasn't a 3-game series. That one stretched out to 4. Omega ultimately takes the dub there. I mean, what were your initial thoughts watching the games unfold?
I have to dig deep in my memory bank. It's been a few days. Uh, did it end up going kind of how most people expected? Maybe not right before the game, because a lot of people were
Well,
high on Elysium. I
uh-huh.
think after game 1, it was like, oh, okay, OG came to play. So the 3-1 after game 1, I guess, wasn't super surprising. I don't know. OG solidified top 3 team now. I guess that's kind of obvious. There's only 4 teams left, but looking back, maybe their 2 losses to the top 2 teams really did mean something. The fact that they are uh, the solidified third best team, I would say. So no, it was a good series. It looks a little bit closer than the other series. So and that game 2 was a fun back and forth one.
A couple things we could talk about here. Game 1, a pretty decisive victory. They played a scaling comp. You saw some role swaps happen between Terran and Storm in game 3. Storm went topside. Ultimately, wasn't enough for them to pick up that second win. Um, and then game 4, I believe it just got too late for Riley Sauce. So Yakuza's
Yeah.
stepping up for them, which is unfortunate when you're facing elimination. But that's, I guess, the the curse of comp League of Legends sometimes. I mean, for Elysium, it just seemed like this split. It was a case of we're good enough to make playoffs, but I felt like this team struggled with identity. It wasn't clear how they wanted to approach the game week in and week out. It got a little bit better when Terran was subbed in. I seemed like the front to back team fight comps were kind of more comfortable for them. But they, at the end of the day, like Omega, they want to play scaling. I think game three was the earliest game comp we've ever seen. That still had a Varus, it still had an Annie. But you look down the line, you have Smolder scaling with Sona. Game one, you got the Oriana Ornn Sivir combo. Game two, you have the Aurelion Soul Jinx. Like Omega really wants to, absorb some losses in the early game and then come on strong into the mid to late, and they play it well, which is why I think, like you said, definitely deserving of that top three moniker.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Omega continues that, playing for basically two scaling lanes. Um, it's my assumption is that they plan to try it. If it wasn't gonna work, they could have pivoted to something else. I don't think that's all they can do. Um, but I mean, it worked in this series, especially game three. They're like, why not? Let's do game four as well. So um, they're gonna get those early kills in a team comp that scales. You know you're gonna win the late game. Why not just keep going that route? So no, I appreciate EOY coming out. Of course, the whole roster swap, some role swaps and whatnot. So um,
Yeah.
made it to at least get fourth, if not third. I guess is a way to look at it. But no, OG looked really good. We'll see how they fare moving forward.
Speaking of moving forward, like CB alluded to, no player power rankings or team power rankings, only because two teams had a bye week. Four teams have been eliminated, or is it four or two teams have been eliminated?
Four teams now,
I
right?
guess, yeah,
Total.
four teams have been eliminated, and the power rankings would kind of just, for the most part, slot up with the perceived strength and seeding. There's some exceptions that I guess we could talk about in our predictions. But we're in the semifinals. You win, you're into the grand finals. You lose, you're out. Uh, there's one series that I'm particularly excited about, and one that I think is going to be lopsided. I'll let you guys guess which one is which. But where do you want to start off with, CB?
We'll start off with the one you assume to be lopsided. We'll see. I mean,
Okay.
we'll see. But yeah, we'll start off with I'm going to assume you're talking about the Patriots versus
Yeah.
Kachao Esports.
Yeah. That is the one that I think is going to be a little bit lopsided. I, as much as I love Key in the Jungle, there is a point where there's a lot of power that is taken out of that role if your lanes aren't able to either stay stable or get ahead. Like if you have three pushing lanes into you, you feel suffocated as a jungler, which is right into like Eyesight's wheelhouse. I feel like Eyesight thrives having three really strong laners or three really strong lanes on his team. That's not to say that I don't, I think anyone in particular in Kachao is going to get just totally ran over. That is to say, I think the avenues for Key to get massively far ahead as he did in the series against Orcas are going to be few and far between. Um, we could talk a little bit more about how these teams match up, but I'm going to throw in, give my prediction. I think it's going to be 3-0 for the Patriots.
Okay. Do you think that it's like guaranteed, no question, no matter what, Patriots win the series, even if 3-0, or do you think Kachao has any chance?
Well, I mean, so just looking at how these rosters stack up top to bottom. Now, of course, Kachao, a team that, outside of a few culprits, you really don't know who's going to play week in and week out. Um, I just feel like if you look at how they approached the Orca series, right? It was basically reverse on a tank, kind of, chilling in the top lane, letting Key play around mid bot side. I think if you're putting reverse on a tank at a BKs, that's right in his wheelhouse, right? He's playing for CS, he's playing for pressure. He's okay being stuck on an island. In mid lane, um, as much as I love Kitten stepping up, I feel like if they really want a chance against the Patriots and Salo, it's got to be Key there. just because I feel like Salo's one of, if not the strongest laners in the league, right up there with Drakenrich. And then on the bot side, we've seen a couple different iterations of this Patriots roster, with both Nike Dragon and Intelligence, where they can play for the early game, um, with Nike Dragon, popping off, kind of carrying from that bottom lane role. They could play for late with either one of them. I think Death Knight does a good job stepping up and roaming around their map and making sure the plays go off without a hitch. And when you combine all those things, if Key's in the jungle and his top laners, just getting pushed in and kind of absorbing pressure like they want, but then all of a sudden their mid laners, not able to contend, the bot lane something goes awry, all of a sudden you kind of game plans out the window. I don't know if Kachao can consistently keep that from happening, especially across 5 games.
Okay. I'd say I mostly agree. It's gonna be a. Do I think it's impossible for Kachao to win? No. Um, Likely, also no. Uh, it's tough. I mean, so assuming that they're gonna use the same lineup, uh, the big concern, of course, is top lane. Um,
Yeah.
because I think most people would have top three undisputed, if not top two. A lot of people say one. Either way, it's a lane that Kachao has struggled in, regardless of who's playing. Has had some good games top lane, but that's kind of the maybe the most lopsided lane. Um, the winning positions probably for Kachao could be jungle, could be bot. Jungle plays, of course, more of the carry style, where Patriots jungle plays more of the supportive style. So that'll be an interesting matchup. But yeah, it might come down to the mid push or how many lanes have that pressure. You seem to think it's going to be two, if not all three for Patriots. I'm probably in a similar boat. I think they're going to have at least two winning lanes. Um, is it possible for Chow to string together 3 wins? I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm probably going to go. I'm gonna go Patriots 3-1. Just make that's a spicy. Let's just keep it spicy.
Yeah.
Just because I think Kachao, like they're not like completely two different leagues of teams. I think maybe on the edge, but I think Kachao could string together one game in this series. But we'll have to see.
Prize game. Yeah, I mean, they made it this far. Obviously, they're not out of it. They have to play the games. It seems like a tall task, but maybe they surprise us. Who knows? That's why they have to play it out. If we knew who was gonna win, then sports would be boring. Um, Opposite side of the bracket, Braum Lives Matter taking on Omega. I have I have this as a potential blowout as well. However, I think there's some things that Omega could probably do to match up a little bit better into BLM than Kachao into the Patriots. What are your initial thoughts with this series we got on our hands?
I mean, no one, despite how good Omega looked this last week and in most of their games,
Mhm.
BLM really hasn't shown any weaknesses. Uh,
Yeah.
Point to which lane is their weakest lane. I guess you could probably say it's for sure not their mid lane, I guess, but really they don't have a weak lane. They don't really have a weak position. So um, does Omega seen a little bit here and there, but overall they also play pretty well consistently. They like the scaling comp, so will that play into BLM's favor? Maybe, especially in the bot lane. Um, so I don't know. I think it would be hard pressed unless you play for or are a die-hard fan of Omega to vote against BLM. Um, just after watching all the games. So and they've already played each other, right? So
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna rock 3-1 also for again the number 1 seed. Uh, call it the easy answer. I'd agree with you. It could definitely be a 3-0. But I think Omega has gotten better since the last time, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, my heart, what my ultimate desire is that it's a 3-2 win for BLM and they get pushed in the semifinals. But I have to agree with you. I'm leaning towards 3-1, if not 3-0. I do want to talk a little bit about what Omega has already begun doing to prep for this series. Um, I was a big fan of moving Nightmare into the mid lane and Concrete down bottom lane. Concrete wants to play scaling. It's so much easier to do that from the AD carry position than it is from mid, especially when we saw the results against the top teams of the league with Concrete mid. It was kind of it was very lopsided and skewed in mid lane for those times that we saw them go up against BLM and the Patriots. So they've moved him bot. I don't know if they're gonna stick with it. I'm assuming that was the plan. Is like, hey, we're gonna try this out. If it goes well, we're gonna keep going with that in semifinals. I think Nightmare offers a little bit more in terms of early laning phase, especially with some of the picks. Yeah, he picked scaling. Like he has the Vigar, the Aurelion Soul, and the Oriana. He did lock in the Annie and do rather well. And a little bit more early game power favored. I just I feel like that is a change that do I think it's gonna stop Drakenrich from having an impact on the game? No, but it might slow his roll a little bit to where he has to find advantageous angles and he can't just hit him with a money gap. Um, I think top lane has the potential to be very interesting. Um, Big news. It wasn't his best series against the Orcas. However, I think big news when he's able to stabilize, and we've seen it before when he got the 2 quadra kills on Darius. When he's able to stabilize and not get steamrolled early, he does actually pretty well. The problem is when the early lane goes awry. I don't know if it's like that top lane tilt or what, but it's sometimes games get out of hand. Um, there's definitely potential for that to happen with BLM, regardless of who they take into the top lane. I'm assuming it's gonna be Kama. I just don't think when I think of Kama, I don't think of the lane dominant player, which could be favorable for Omega. But then bot lane, I think, is where it gets scary for me. As much as I love the concrete switch to bot lane, I think Neon Sword and Tiny Fist of Fury, one of the better bot lane duos. And if you look at how Concrete and Poodle want to play the lanes, it's like, okay, we're gonna play scaling with Enchanter, so we're gonna be really strong into the mid to late game. I mean, we've seen Neon Sword pop off. We've seen Tiny Fist of Fury have really good early game performances. I feel like if Omega has a chance in this series, they just got to limit the potential for a scaling ADC and Enchanter to get punished.
I will say last time they played, now obviously one man's was playing from in the middle of the woods.
Yeah,
They also
yeah,
have the role swap most likely happening compared to last time they played. But top and jungle are the same. Well, support's the same also, but
yeah,
and top was heavily favored for BLM. Uh, so
yeah,
um, if it's gonna be a top lane island type situation, it might go heavily in BLM's favor again, at least through the top lane.
yeah.
Especially this last week, OG played more tank duty topside.
Hmm.
Whereas whenever they played against each other, I think it was BLM pulled out the Susan in the set and did really well. Drakenrich also did really well in the mid lane, but of course going to play against a different person. So top lane, I agree, is definitely the lane to watch. So what's your game line, score line prediction for this one?
I'm going with you as well. I think it's gonna be 3-1 BLM. I really want it to be 3-2. I think BLM wins regardless. I think it would be a hype setup for finals where BLM's actually getting tested because so far, they've dropped a game here or there in the regular season, but it seemed like between them and the Patriots, BLM came out of the gates with a very strong identity and never looked back. But I gotta go 3-1.
All right, so you're saying the bigger chance of an upset is Omega compared to Kachao. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at
Different
how
opponents and everything,
both
obviously, but yeah, just as far as an
yeah,
upset.
if you look at the strength of both these teams throughout the split, not just the quarterfinals matchups, but throughout the split, it was pretty clear Omega was the better team compared to Kachao. Um, I don't think they're leaps and bounds ahead of Kachao, nor do I think they're very close to BLM. But if I'm gonna be betting on a an underdog, it's gonna be the Omega series over the Kachao series.
Okay, okay. Last one about this actual series. If you swap Kachow and Omega spots, you still think both Patriots and BLM win, and
I think
both
it
win in 3-0, 3-1.
no, I think it'd probably be closer, to be honest, for both sides. I think Omega matches up a little bit better into the Patriots, just because, like I said about the switch between concrete and nightmare. Um, I think nightmare wouldn't necessarily roll over Salo by any.
He's gone. He's gone for forever. Does mine still work? I think I'm good. Who knows? Who cares what he was saying? Back to the real action. I don't know. Oh, I don't know what he's saying, but I think if we swapped him, as he's DMing me, uh, I think if we swapped him, that both series still goes 3-1 in favor of the number one seed. Right, she's pulling one of my tricks and unplugged his computer and said the power went out. So, what else did I have? Oh, I got to read his question of the day without him actually asking me. So, we're gonna go for it. Yeah, for real. All right. His question of the day was: Is BLM versus Pats rematch in finals inevitable? My assumption is most people are gonna say yes, unless you play for Kachow or Omega. Um, we've kind of already hinted at it. My guess, and if I was a betting man, I would definitely say it's a Patriots Brom Lives Matter finals rematch from week one where BLM took the 2-1 victory. Uh, is it possible for an upset? Maybe, maybe not. But nonetheless, that's all right. Actually, I got one more thing to pull up for you people that are still hanging around as I'm all by myself. Uh, if you didn't know, I made a post, or an announcement. It's kind of hidden. If not, I'm sure you've already looked at it. Uh, Finally, it only took me a solid 5 weeks, but got some stats put up for the people that care about their individual performances. Um, Assuming you can read it, 'cause I can't really read it on my screen, but yeah, there you go. A lot of people from, of course, Patriots and BLM at the top of the list, at least the lists that you want to be the top of. The only outsider, I guess, would be Deaths where Orcas lead, but we can skip over that one. Uh, yeah, there you go. There's your stats. Somewhat will play into voting for awards. Um, most so voting's closed for awards. We will put awards out. I don't know if next Wednesday or next Sunday, right before finals. Nonetheless, it'll be next week sometime. Um, 5 all rivals players, MVP, most overrated, most underrated, 6 man, and I think that's it. I don't know, something like that.
Best smile. No, I'm just kidding. I'm back.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm back. All I was saying, I don't know where you went after I DC'd, but
I don't know. Go for it.
all I was saying was I think Kachao and Omega, if they swap series, would match up probably better into their counterparts.
Cool.
Um,
I covered our faces with the stats.
yeah, I see that.
Mm.
Stats looking fresh.
Is there anything?
Took a while,
Took a while.
but we got there.
But we got there. That's okay. They at least get to see their full. This is just regular season, of course. Would be a little scuffed if we added playoffs in there because different amount of game opportunities.
Yeah.
Is there anything crazy that sticks out to you, or is it like for the most part? Makes
Key
sense.
top two deaths. kind of surprising. Maybe it's just a nature of Kachao having to be
They like to
active
fight.
around Key. Yeah, well, just Key has to be a part of what they're doing. It feels like so.
Mm,
The fact that they were losing a lot of games, Key probably being in the middle of it.
yeah.
CS per minute. Didn't see a lot of Zane, but the fact he was top 4, good for him. Uh, what else? What else do I
Oh yeah.
see?
I was like, where is that one?
Vision per minute is crazy to have over 3. 3 per minute is nuts.
Yeah, it's scripts.
That's a lot of words. But good on Tiny.
Surprised and I don't know. I'm just gonna assume the objective ones aren't scuffed. Neon Sword at the top of tower damage and near the top of dragons. Or I guess tied, right? I don't really know how dragons. I assume if you're just involved with taking the dragon, then you get it. But that one's interesting to see. Neon Sword. Both towers, I assume, would all be all top liners, but I guess there are multiple carries on that list. And then dragons, of course. I guess right below or tied with their jungler. So there you go. The power, the bot lane triangle.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's just having like a assist credit on the
Yeah,
dragon take.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I you know just talking about objectives. The fact that a couple of well, not a couple, 4 out of the 5 Baron slots are Juicebox Gang players.
Hmm.
The fact that it didn't make playoffs is pretty feels bad because
So you don't need
seems like
Barons to
most
win.
uh yeah, it seems like most teams that play around objectives or at least secure them end up doing rather well. So for whatever reason, it wasn't their lack of getting Barons that did them in. But no, I think if you're looking at the stats they don't tell everything, but they do tell a story, and it's you know, the teams that ended up making the playoffs are high up in the stats you want to be good in.
True,
So
true. Uh, I mean, for the most part, for our predictions, it kind of answered the question of the day.
yeah,
Uh, but I think both of us would say yes. I don't know if I guess we can say inevitable because I'd give it a very very high chance that it is going to be the rematch, Brown Lives Matter versus
yeah.
Patriots, and that one, which we'll talk about next week, but that one I don't think will be over in 3 games.
I hope not.
But who knows?
It'd
Maybe
be kind
both.
of
Maybe neither one of them
disappointing.
make it. That'd be crazy.
That would be
Kachow
crazy.
versus Omega Gaming finals.
That would be. It would be insane if Kachao made it. Omega, I mean, I think they have a little bit higher of a chance to pull off an upset, but if Kachao went sub 500 in the regular season and then got all the way to the finals, that would be something. Um, but yeah, shorter rivals run back. Like CB said, we're either gonna do the rivals run back on Wednesday like normal or before finals, um, the award show and everything like that,
Yeah, because
like
for
we
the
did
most
last
part,
split.
it'll just be. Well, I guess if we do it Wednesday, we would have, the
More
week
time, I
recap
guess.
and then the prediction for finals, which we could still do Wednesday regardless. It's just, do we lump in the awards with the Rivals Run Back or the finals cast? So, to be determined.
Figure it out. Yeah, it's storming like crazy over here. I don't know how it is over where you're at, but
Mm.
I think that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
quick and easy.
so we're gonna send you guys over to, I believe, Titan Esports. They got a series going on. We try to support the amateur scene. So if you're interested in seeing that series, stick around. Otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful night. Take care, and we'll see you on Sunday.